Recovering the city. Citizen empowerment towards a tactical urbanism. As planetary crises become ingrained into the everyday life of city dwellers, it has become increasingly important to understand how the built environment shapes and responds to social injustice, environmental degradation, and economic inequalities, especially in cities. The increased mobility of the market-driven global economy, as well as environmental and conflict-driven migration, has left the built environment struggling to address social and spatial segregation that dictates modern-day urban governance. According to Henry Lefebvre, the city is the laboratory of humanity. As the planetary crisis becomes more centralized in cities, mainly due to growing urbanization that consequently generates excessive pollution and influences climate change, urban development has fostered social inequalities reflected in public participation. The increased amount of social, economic, and environmental pressures throughout history has rendered city dwellers invisible to the urban democracy, while modern capitalist agendas generate urban policies that yield results such as the vulnerability of its inhabitants in cases of natural disasters and organizational crises. The current 21st century has presented the opportunity for a rise in bottom-up and grassroots activism that start with civil participation and empowerment of the individual to the right of the city. Such contemporary cities are reflecting the connotation of power in most societal structure, represented by social hierarchies according to the level of economic power that determines the influence of participation in the decision-making process. Sherry Arnstein's social ladder of citizen engagement illustrates the metaphor for describing and evaluating participatory activities. It distinguishes different levels of participation in relation to influence of power that has been consistent in the structure of contemporary societies. For Arnstein, the last level of this methodological ladder reflects the ideal empowerment of the community in the decision-making process, allowing citizen committees to delegate power and ensure responsibility for community development. Thus, tactical urbanism aligns with Arnstein's main concept of citizen control, allowing people to shape their immediate surroundings. The phenomenon of tactical urbanism align with the sense of citizen empowerment from a bottom-up approach, separating the rigid urban development logistics from an organic response of a space ownership. Such approach can be evidenced in the street intervention at Rio Negro and Monteria in Colombia. Tactical urbanism holds that citizen engagement and participatory approach that are essential to establish community resilience through the development process and decision-making about actions and outcomes decided by the community during times of crisis. Inhabitants are capable of shaping their realities. Ibsen presents tactical urbanism, also known as do-it-yourself urbanism, as a low-cost, temporary appropriation of the space, as evidenced in Utah, USA, that can facilitate a new form of collectivism and an effective mobilizer for systematic change, especially in the urban democracy ideal. Reshaping a distressed city throughout a localized lens, such as the development of community garden, public installations, pocket parks, and street art, can encourage citizens to build self-reliance and reinforce social networks by transforming capitalist logic of never-ending growth and restoring primary needs of the citizens. Cities have become epicenters for individuals and corporations that are interested in profiting from the economic benefit of the built environment at the expense of the city's inhabitants. With citizens in control, the urban structure no longer only accommodates neoliberal agendas, but it first focuses on the redistribution of power to citizens. Tactical urbanism is the opportunity to confront the city and its current order by demanding power throughout unsanctioned activities that question the neoliberal structure, urban system, filling social, economic, environmental, and political gaps left by the lack of government support throughout grassroots design interventions. The city of the future and practice of urban planning and architecture, it starts with a transition to a collective and ecological turn that is based on a localized experience which aims to re-engage communities and fulfill individual needs as part of an interconnected system. My name is Carlos Enriquez Diaz. As a member and representative of my group colleagues, I thank you for your attention.